Welcome. I will choose Ghana card over 1,000 road interchanges. These are the controversial words of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is touting the national identity card as more beneficial than the numerous infrastructural projects constructed by any successive government. In the last few days, there's been a mad rush for the Ghana card, which government intends to use as a unique identifier for both resident and non-resident Ghanaians, as well as permanent residents or who are foreign nationals. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at a recent lecture here in Accra intimated that the biometric chip would eventually be a great asset for national planning and development, and he explains why.
We inherited a problem of no unique national identification system. This had been with us since independence. We have implemented the national identification system of the Ghana card. And we have today 16 million Ghanaians with unique identities. And that is a major transformation. A lot of people sometimes don't even appreciate what the impact of the Ghana card is. But if you gave me 1,000 interchanges and a Ghana card, I'll choose the Ghana card because it has more impact. With the Ghana card, access to student loans today is without the need for a guarantor. You first needed a guarantor to give you a student loan. But with digitalization and the implementation of it, we now can access student loans without the need for a guarantee.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia there. Even as we speak, the National Identification Authority is seeking to scale up its numbers. So let's bring you a breakdown now. Isaac Ofieje is with our research desk here at Joy News. Isaac, just help us break the figures down. As we speak now, how many persons have made it successfully onto the database of the National Identification Authority?
We are checking from the National Identification Authority's own website, and it's according to their live statistics. So at the moment, we have about 16.7 million Ghanaians registered on the Ghana card. If you look at the total number of cards printed, it's around 16.3 million. And then also total number of cards issued at the moment is around 13.3 million. So it simply means that out of the 16.7 million Ghanaians who have been registered, only 13.3 million have their cards at the moment. So it simply means that a total of 3.4 cards have not been issued, and then 14.1 million Ghanaians at the moment.
And help us understand that point, the disparities in the figures. When you have 16 million people on the database, what's accounting for the inability, for instance, of the NIA to issue the outstanding cards?
So you remember that there are some people who have issues with maybe their date of birth or their names, and then they have to go for some changes to be done. And then, just looking at the situation at their work at the moment, there are a lot of people who are actually stranded trying to get their cards. But with the NIA saying that they've been able to register a total of 16.7 million, Ghanaians, and then just being able to print, just 16.3 cards, and then just 13.3 million Ghanaians have their cards being issued at the moment, given that deficit. Certainly is part of some of the issue, the problem that I talked about, people having issues with their, their names, and then also others having issues with their date of birth and other, personal details. But there are some that they've actually registered, but they've not actually gone for the card. And then they are waiting for probably, some good day to go for the card. But as it stands now, 16.7 million Ghanaians have been registered on the Ghana card, and 13.3 cards have been issued.
Interesting figures there, but give us the dynamics some more in terms of the breakdown as to nationals and foreigners. Let's start off with the total number of Ghanaians we have captured on that database.
So looking at the live statistics, you do not really have that, kind of breakdown. But it certainly shows that, Ghanaians 15 years and above, currently, just like I mentioned, 16.7 million Ghanaians now have their Ghana cards. But to help with, the dissemination and other registration to fast track registration, the NIA says that they've actually have new outlets in districts. So if you look at the Greater Accra, for instance, there are about 35 district offices that you can go there and then also interact with the officers for your Ghana card. If you look at Volta region, we have 19 offices, and OT region has 10 at the moment, and then Northeast has 7. Northern region has 19 offices at the moment. Savannah region has 8. And then also if you go to the Afro region, we have 7 offices available. And Bono region 13. We have Bono East also having 12, and then Upper East and Upper West respectively having 16 and 12. Ashanti region being the highest with about 48 offices currently to help fast track the whole process and the registration.
And Kofi, I'm still curious about this, the fact that we still have long queues at registration centers all across the country. Is it the case that the NIA is far away from reaching its targets?
So at the moment, despite the fact that the NIA has all these district outlets, it seems like in Greater Accra the whole situation has been centralized at the WAC Sports Stadium. So you have about 14, because currently Ghana is around 30.8 million, and if you have 16.7 million having Ghana card, it certainly means that a little over 14 million Ghanaians do not have their Ghana cards at the moment. And most of these people are actually, probably distributed in the Ashanti region and then in the Greater Accra region. So, for instance, in the Greater Accra region, where the whole distribution process and registration has now been centralized, we have most of it going on at El Wak Sports Stadium. You have, a chunk of people trooping in, and then this actually affecting the whole registration process. And it will actually create, queues, because, just having people going into that space to have 14.1 million people, and most of them who are in Accra going into just El Wak Sports Stadium to get their cards, because it's not just registration. People have issues with identification, just like I said, their personal details, their date of birth, their names, and other things. So
that may be accounting for what we're experiencing at the registration centers. Isaac Kofi with our research desk there. Well, Joy News has been engaging some individuals at various registration centers. Many of them are appealing to the National Identification Authority to expand access in a bid to ease congestion at the various registration points.
That's what I was telling you, that we've been here for a week. Some have been here since 2019. Some have not even received their card. Then you are telling us that you are ending the process today. It doesn't make sense. So today, by all means, everybody will not be able to do it right now. Some will be able to do it tomorrow. Some will be able to do it maybe next week. Because I've been here for a week. So if I've been here for a week and someone just came today, at least the person will be finished next week. So if you end it today, what am I going to use to access my account? Then when you come across, you won't get the card today. You get it 2 weeks time. So are they telling us that they're going to block our account for that 2 weeks? When you get the card, they will reopen it for you, and that's the question they have to come and answer. The MTN people and those banks. So that's our problem. So
will you be willing to call for an extension of the deadline?
Yes, there should be an extension, at least at the close of the year. There should be an extension, because it doesn't. What they are doing is unfair. You see, my father said he has been here since 2019. He hasn't received the card. So what's pressuring them to end the process? That's the question. What's pressuring them? At least they should make it that at the end of the year.
But why do you delay till now to fix this?
Me, I lost my, when I did it, I lost my, then I went to the police station for an extract. So we've been here back and forth. When you go to the head office, they will say come to EWAC. When you come to EWAC, they will say head office. So it's those complications. That's why we are still here.
Yes.
You also have similar challenge.
Yes. Even my challenge, the fault is not coming from me. It is from the NIA itself. And I was among the first people who did it in 2019. When my card came, I was told, during the verification, that my data was not put on the card. So they are returning the card to the head office. I have been going there several times. From last week, I've been going there. I went there yesterday. They couldn't get the endorsement for me. I was there today again. So they were able to finish up for me today, even just the endorsement, for me to come and pay the money. Meanwhile, I've not misplaced my card. Now you are asking me to pay money. I did it in 2019. You couldn't do it for me. Now you are asking me to pay money before getting my card. I think it's not unfair. It's not fair. And we have a lot of people now. When you get to the head office now, confusion here and there. You go there, they ask you to come to EWA. Look at the number of people here now. And they are now giving us a deadline. So is it from us?
But the notification for the deadline was given long ago.
Yes.
Why did you wait till now?
And we've not waited. I've been pushing for my card, and they are not able to do it for me. Even last time I was there for almost 3 weeks ago, I was there, and they have to tell me that they are, turning it out as a missing card. So they will be able to print it out for me. I went there again, they were not able to do it. Now they are asking me to come, and if I need it first, then I have to pay money before I get it. So here I am now. They've given me the approval, so I'm coming to pay money before getting my card.
Well, so given these challenges, is the Vice President justified in saying that the National Identification Card is worth more than any other infrastructural project? Joining me now for a discussion on this is Dr. William Ahaji, former Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority. Thank you so much, sir, for making some time for us. So you've had the Vice President on the issue of the Ghana card. He touts that and places the Ghana card above any other infrastructural project. Is he justified in making these assertions? Dr. Haji, if you can unmute for me. I'm just asking what you think about the Vice President's latest comments. We're trying as much as possible to rework the line. So Dr. William Haji, but on your screens now, some of the registration centers, 16 million people on the database of the National Identification Authority. However, it appears that some 13 million persons are the only fraction that have the Ghana card. Dr. William Ahaji is back with us. Doc, thank you for your time. I was just asking about the Vice President's comment and what you make of his belief that one Ghana card is worth more than 1,000 interchanges.
Well, I would not want to talk about the comparison of spending public money on one and leaving the other out. The interchanges are equally important, but the Ghana card is on top of that. I agree with him that it's a very important card, but it's not particularly the Ghana card. It's actually the ID system, an ID system which is supposed to be established by government. And by that, we are looking at ID infrastructure that will allow for identity check, identity authentication in real time. It's important because an ID system cuts down or cuts back on identity fraud. It's useful for several services: education, health, pensions, access to certain services. You can even use that as an interface to access resources, and it is equally important for reducing the extensive debt, that banks suffer from people refusing to pay as well. The bad debt portfolio can be reduced by using an ID system, and you can actually use that for e-transactions as well.
But you've been at the NIA before, looking at the roadmap at the time we were exiting office. Would you say that this current regime has exceeded the targets that were set in place?
No, unfortunately, the regime probably stopped a process that should have given us more mileage on the work that we left behind. One was the fact that they decommissioned the old ID cards that we issued instead of distributing them and then upgrading the system to allow for replacement over a longer period. And that is one major problem that has slowed the process. And as the videos showed, many of the people who have applied for their cards haven't got them. Yet we can't say that if you were using a 2D barcode in today's world, it is obsolete. There are several ID systems that are still run on 2D barcode. In any case, those were issued so they could run for 10 years. And so the easiest thing you could have done was to just issue the cards that were installed, and then slowly you upgrade the system, and then you allow people, you phase in the chip encoded or chip embedded card. As we can see now, you have an ID card with a chip embedded on it, but you don't interface the chip with any system. The appropriate technology has not been put in place for interoperability, for instance, where you can go, your data, your health data, or your financial data can be uploaded on the card. So you're holding a card with a chip, a 64 gig chip on it, and the chip is useless.
Right, but then the concern of many Ghanaians out there is about access to the centers. What's accounting for the gridlock at the various registration centers, in your view?
I think that the pressure that the NIA is suffering is the requirement by some state institutions, and indeed that particularly the Ministry of Communications, that SIM cards will have to be re-registered by a certain deadline. And also the banking system insisting that you must register or improve your records with the Ghana card. It is important, but the pressure is the reason why the NIA is struggling. Now, the other side of it is we were supposed to do mass registration to create a database, and beyond that, begin continuous registration. So NIA should have been given sufficient time to complete this process of populating the server with people who have come under the mass registration, and then deal with those who haven't had the opportunity by establishing offices across the country, walk-in offices, so that people can go there at their leisure time and register. Or at least even if there's pressure, people should have been given, Ghanaians should have been given about a year to ensure that they have registered with the NIA and they've got their card. They are also constrained by sufficient resources to even acquire blank cards. From the information I have, sometimes they run out of blank cards, and therefore when you apply, they will register you all right, but they can't personalize the cards, so there are no cards available. So there are challenges, and they need to ensure that these things are overcome. But the pressure has to be taken off NIA with this the deadline for SIM card re-registration.
Right, and so for you, where lies the solution? Is the solution in the issue of expansion of the various registration points, or we need to relook and reconsider the approach?
No, definitely we need to create the offices across the country, the working offices, so that the pressure will be off. Secondly, we need to provide additional resources for recruitment. It's just like any public service institution with branches and departments outside the central point. Now, to go and ask that large number of people to go to only a work stadium to register is imposing, first of all, pressure on yourself, but also giving the registrable population difficulties in getting their cards issued to them so they can fulfill the conditions that are being imposed on them by state institutions as well. What I see and what I said before is that there's lack of interagency collaboration. The Ministry of Communication had imposed this thing on the telcos for it to be done without checking with NIA whether they are ready or not. Unless that they sit around the table and clear these things, these difficulties will come. And you are going to...
Yeah, and aside the issue you're just pointing out, there's the aspect of data reconciliation, what you started and what's being carried out now. Is that likely to trigger a breach in the integrity of the system and the database of the National Identification Authority?
Very much so. You know, an ID system is a very sensitive business. That's where we store your biometric information, and your biometric information is very, very important. because there's identity theft, somebody can actually copy your print and then conduct business on your behalf. So it is one area where you have to protect, and indeed the levels of encryption, the levels of coding that you have to do to protect personal data is very strict. And there are international standards that you have to follow if you want to use your ID system for a lot of transactions across the world, but essentially in your own country. Now, what we did, we left a server with data in it, biometric data in it. Then you create a separate server where you port the data from the main server that is there into another. That in itself is a risk, man. It's a risk. Now, the other side of it is that if you look at those who got the previous Ghana card, indeed the Ghana card, and compare their PIN numbers with the ECOWAS card, which is now being referred to as the Ghana card, you find that there's very little difference, which means that they had to leverage what was left in the server to create this new system. It was most unnecessary, but it's been done. In any case, they also indicated that they were going to do real-time instant card issuance from the beginning. We contested that and said that the technology hasn't reached the point where you can do real-time data check before you issue the card at the terminal where you are. And so go back to the same system that was being used, which means that you have to print the card and go out and distribute. We did a number of interesting things. We even created mobile card issuance systems by configuring buses so they can drive out there and go and issue the card. All of those things were collapsed. So they didn't allow for transition from the system to the new system. Indeed, at some point, they even decommissioned the printers. But my understanding is that they got new printers, so that's fine. But if you don't do continuous work, you run into this kind of trouble. Means that you're starting it completely new. I dispute the argument that the 3D barcode cards were obsolete. It could never be obsolete. If you look at some of the bank cards now that you have, they still use 3D cards, 3D barcodes. You know, so NIA has to rethink its approach to delivering the service that the state expects them to deliver.
Anyway, we'll see if that will be done in the coming days. But Dr. William Ahaji, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us this afternoon here on the Pulse.